Alright, people. Review of the week time. So, lots to talk about. An awful lot to talk about, actually. I think the main... So, obviously, there was 3 main cards on this weekend. And the main talking point from the 3 of them, and there were some great fights as well this weekend. Really great fights, and a big knockout of the year contender, which we'll have to talk about as well in this. But I feel we need to talk about the fight that happened last night first, which was obviously George Kambosos Jr. versus Maxi Hughes. With regards to the undercard, I have to say I didn't see any of the fights on the undercard. The one that kind of jumped out at me was Stefan Shawn getting stopped by Joseph Goodall. Stefan Shawn, his last fight was against Ajagba, and he done reasonably alright in that fight, but obviously lost. Joseph Goodall 9-1-1. And actually, he went the distance with Ajagba, and this guy was able to stop him. His only loss, Joseph Goodall, came in a points decision loss to Justice Hooney, who was quite well rated. A lot of people rate Justice Hooney very, very highly. So that's not a bad loss. And he knocked out Stefan Shaw. In terms of Keyshawn Davis, clockwork-like performance, got a win over Francesco Patera. Patera is a solid European-level fighter. He obviously took the O off Lewis Ritson and has been doing some good work since then. So it's a nice little win for Keyshawn Davis. The main event is the one I watched. The main event is the one that we're all talking about. I want to read a statement because George Kambosos Jr., he came out with a statement with regards to this situation. Let's start with the statement, right? He says, and I quote, this is from him: "A close fight is not a robbery," with a laughy face emoji. Now, George, you're right. A close fight is not a robbery, but that wasn't a close fight. Listen, it was a close, gritty victory against a top 10 lightweight and IBO world champion in my return fight. Went straight into a tough fight instead of taking a stiff. Do yourself a favour and mute the biased commentary, rewatch the fight, and then tell me exactly what you think, as many people have gone back and done and seen the decision was fair and correct. Yes, I think the 171-11 scorecard was too far off for a scorecard, but I don't control the judge's view, and the the effective aggression they were seeing. But an 8-4, 7-5 decision our way was right." Okay. With that being said, though, full respect to Maxi Hughes. We knew he would come to fight, and we knew how dangerous he was. A true top 10 lightweight. We give him the utmost respect, and it was an honour to share the ring with another warrior and family man like myself. It was good to be back inside the ring after some time away, win another title and put myself in a positive position for the IBF lightweight world title. Keep improving and working on my craft. There is much more to go. Thank for all the support, and to my fans and supporters worldwide. So Kambosos basically is saying there that a close fight, he doesn't deem that to be a robbery, and he's right. You shouldn't deem a close fight a robbery if it can go one way or another. But as I said at the very start of this, I've watched that fight. It was a 9-3 type fight for Maxi Hughes. Being very, very generous to Kambosos, you give it to him 8-4. Maxi Hughes. You could not make a case for Kambosos winning that fight. He's obviously going to come out and say that he felt that, he got the decision. But even his body language when the decision was being read out, you got the impression that even in the ring itself, and you can say whatever he wants in that statement about he feels the decision is fair, etc., etc., but in the ring, his body language told me a different story, that he knew before that decision was read out that he'd lost this fight, and that when the decision was read out and it was read out in his favour, you could tell there was an element of him thinking, I got lucky and you really did win. Now, obviously, as a fighter, you're not going to admit that. Josh Taylor still believes that he beat Jack Catterall. I've got a lot of time for Josh Taylor, but he's talking absolute BS when he says he feels he beat Jack Catterall. He didn't, right? We know he didn't. And likewise in this fight, George Kambosos didn't beat Maxi Hughes. Maxi Hughes fought a very, very good fight. If there's one kind of saving grace, is that it wasn't like a fight where he had to really grab the bull by the horn, go through hell and fire to get the win, and obviously then get robbed on the scorecard. It wasn't like that. It was quite a lowish volume type of fight. As I said, the styles didn't really gel together too good. But Maxi Hughes did what he needed to do. He was effective with everything he did. He didn't take much punishment in there. His face was a little torn over the eye, but that was from a clash of heads rather than a punch. So in terms of the after effect, he's going to be feeling obviously devastated by the result, but I wouldn't say he's that sore in terms of feeling sore in the body following on from that fight. So it's not like it's taken something away from him. I really hope Maxi Hughes can regroup and that he can come again. You know, I don't know if he's actually signed to a promoter currently now, because I don't believe he's with Matchroom anymore. So if look in the UK, if I was Eddie Hearn or Ben Shalom, I would be saying, come over here, we have fights for you. Because Maxi Hughes is as one thing George Kambosos said there, which is legit, is that Maxi Hughes is definitely a top 10 lightweight. There's no doubt about that. You know, I wonder now, having seen how the both of their last fights have gone, how Gary Cully versus Maxi Hughes would have went. Because Gary Cully was very high for that fight. Judging by their last two performances, I mean, I think that could have went real bad for Gary Cully real quick, judging by how that went. No, I watched the fight. I felt that Maxi Hughes did do enough to win, and then some. And I really felt that this decision, you know, it's a bad decision either way. It's a bad decision, the fact that Kambosos got the decision. But the fact that you had a judge scoring this 171-11, I mean, what the actual F is that? Like, how he looked at that fight and scored only 3 rounds in Maxi Hughes' favour, I will never know. And the things like this, right, when a judge is that far off, when the overwhelming majority are saying this is how we see the fight, when the pundits at ringside are saying this is how we see the fight, when the commentators, everyone is saying it, and yet you have one judge who sees it so abstract from everyone else, there has to be something done. That right there is happening too frequent, where you watch a fight, everyone and their mother, Stevie Wonder, can see what way the fight is going, and you've one judge at ringside who scores it so bizarrely, you're like, hang on a minute, time out. What the hell happened there? What are you actually doing? Is it incompetent? Is it incompetency? I mean, it's too frequent. You know, yeah, I mean, you're always going to have incompetency in any aspect, but it's just too frequent now at this stage. So, you know, Maxi Hughes, he should be feeling hard done by. I really hope he can come again, because he's still a tremendous talent. Top 10 lightweight in my opinion. And I would love to see him pick up a version of the world title. I'd love to see him get a crack at one of the vacant titles if in fact Devin Haney does move up, which is looking likely that he will. I'd love to see him get a crack, because it would be a very, very good story. From losing at domestic level to world champion, you know, I'd like to see it. Big. I have a lot of time for Maxi Hughes, I really do. In terms of what else happened over the course of the weekend, because I don't want this video to go on too long and labour the point, but Jazzy Dickens. Now, I didn't see the whole fight in its entirety. I'm going to have to be open and honest and frank about that. I didn't even realise he was fighting until I seen a video plugging his way in. And I was like, oh yeah, Jazzy Dickens. I think he's trained by Pete Taylor now. And he was fighting over in Dubai. Alright, and he fought a guy called Hector Andreas Sosa. Now, forgive my ignorance, I haven't heard of him. At least I'm pretty sure I don't think I have. He went into this fight with a record of 15-2. Now, he's only 27 years old. He definitely, judging by the BoxRec picture, maybe isn't the best picture, because he doesn't look 27 in that picture, if I'm honest. He looks a bit older, but maybe it was just caught at a bad angle. I don't know. But he 2 losses. He lost to a guy called Christian Carto over 8 rounds. Where was that? That was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And that was on, I don't recognise that. Yeah, I don't recognise that promoter. But he lost to a guy, he was 19-1 at the time. And he also lost to an undefeated guy, Rafael Pedrazo. And that was in Panama. And that was back in 2022. So only 2 L's, both coming on points. He went in there against Jazzy Dickens and he landed probably the knockout of the year so far, and you're going to have a hard time trying to top that for knockout of the year, because this really was a sickening shot. Jazzy Dickens was doing alright in this fight by all accounts, and then in the 10th round they get into a little bit of an exchange. Jazzy Dickens goes to throw a shot, but he gets hit with a right hand from the orthodox stance. You know when someone goes limp before they hit the ground? Like, Jazzy Dickens is just, the minute that punch lands, it's just everything stops. and he falls. He goes to the canvas and he hits his head off the canvas as well. He is out cold. He is unconscious, completely lifeless on the canvas. Very big, very, very big, scary knockout. Jazzy Dickens, all kinds of messed up from the punch. He was down for an awful long time. Thankfully, he's okay. Was able to regain consciousness, got back up. But that's the sort of knockout right there that I don't think you come back from. And Jazzy Dickens, that's his 5th loss, and all of his losses bar one, which was Thomas Patrick Ward, have been by knockout. None more brutal than that. The Kid Galahad defeat in 2021 was a bad loss because he took a hell of a beating in that fight. Lost to Rigondeaux in 2 rounds. Do you remember that? That was the broken jaw. And obviously he was stopped by Kid Galahad back in 2013, over a decade ago. It's a long time ago now. I think he was ahead in that fight as well. But I would say stick a fork in Jazzy Dickens at this point, because that's the sort of knockout defeat you are really, really, really going to have a hard time coming back from. Like, I mean, you really will have a seriously hard time coming back from that loss. That was a really big, really bad knockout. Then we get on to the Friday night show, which was up there in Edinburgh in Scotland. We Scots. This was a Sauerland show, was my boxing on Channel 5. I got to big up Channel 5 though. I got to big them up because they've been putting on a lot of free-to-air boxing over the last couple of years. And I have to say, like, even the undercard for this fight was actually pretty good. But the main events, lads, on Channel 5, I mean, for free boxing, we're getting some very good main events. I mean, Lee McGregor in this fight right here against Eric Robles was a great fight. It was really, really good. Very fair officiating. I thought Robles just done enough to win, but it was close, right? This was a close fight. This was an Eric Robles fight, but Lee McGregor was game the whole way through. Devastated Lee McGregor was at the final bell, you know, obviously to not get the decision, especially in his hometown. And his career, Lee McGregor, it's been strange. It's been stop-start. You know, he beat Cash Farouk in 2019 in a very, very good fight. A lot of people felt Cash won the fight. They were going to have a rematch before he unfortunately had to retire. That was 2 years ago. And then obviously he actually ran into a good little spell of form, did Lee McGregor. Was getting knockouts, getting stoppages. And then he had that fight against Diego Ruiz last year. And that was one of the last shows with that managerial company. And he looked very sluggish and laboured in that fight. Laboured to a draw. I actually felt he just nicked the fight. I think that he was a bit unfortunate to get a draw. I think he should have won it. But then he missed a year. He didn't look great in his last fight. Now it's really gone a bit all over the place for Lee McGregor. You forget he is only 26 years old. He's got plenty of time. It's not like, you know, he's at the end of his career or something like that and he's trying to reignite things. No, he's got plenty of time. And he wasn't knocked out or anything like that in this fight. He was stunned a few times, I felt. Definitely. But he could definitely come again. I think it could have been a combination of things. I mean, obviously, Eric, not to take anything away from Eric Robles at all, it's a very good performance. But I wonder, is Lee McGregor just maybe a bit rusty? Maybe he needs, maybe his confidence is a little bit down going into this fight. I don't know. I'm not making excuses, by the way. But I just wonder, could he have performed a bit better? I think he definitely could have. In terms of the undercard, Cash Ali took an L. Do you remember him? He was the guy who bit David Price. That's the second loss of his career. He didn't get himself DQ'd in this fight. He just took a points decision loss. Isaac Lowe, Harlem Eubank were also on the undercard. Isaac Lowe, Jesus, he normally only fights on Tyson Fury undercards. Matty Harris versus Konstantin Dybachenko. Now, let's talk about this fight. So, I've obviously seen Matty Harris a few times. Actually, I saw him fight at the York Hall back in March. Me, Ade, David Diamante and a few others went to that show. That was the Harlem Eubank undercard, actually, in the York Hall, Bethnal Green. I seen him fight some journeymen who fell over pretty quick. Like, it was pretty embarrassing. They just in and out in 20 odd seconds. But when he went in there and they announced Konstantin Dybachenko, I knew obviously this guy is durable. His last fight, I think it was the last fight anyway, was Moses Atelma, unless he's had a fight in between. No, that was the last fight against Moses Atelma. Moses Atelma did what he needed to do, won every round, very, very comfy fight, did what he needed to do, went through the motions. So I was thinking, okay, Matty Harris he's not as highly touted as young Moses Atelma is, and obviously he's only still a teenager as Moses Atelma, so it would have been interesting to see how Matty Harris dealt with him. And actually, Matty Harris dropped him in the second round. Was looking on course for the win, was looking good. And this was a 6-rounder. right? This was not like, you know, he was in the middle of a 10-rounder and stuff like that, and he was fighting at the front. This was a 6-rounder, and Matty Harris's stamina just went. Like, I mean, it just was gone. And the stoppage. So he obviously got stopped by Konstantin Dybachenko, which is not a good look at all. I feel the stoppage was premature. Yes, for those saying, but gee, he was getting hit a lot. He was getting hit a lot. I'm aware, and I was aware he was getting hit a lot in the previous rounds. I'm aware of that. I'm aware that his gas tank seemed empty. But when a fighter hasn't touched it, you see, this was at the very end of the 5th round. There was like 5 seconds to go. Yeah, shots were getting through. Yeah, he was getting hit with them. But he hadn't been down. There was 5 seconds left to go in the round. And I just feel, unless a fighter, you can tell, is just out on their feet or they've been dropped and they're in no position to continue, then I don't mind it as much. But when a fighter's not touched down and there is still a little bit of cognizance there, then you need to give them that minute's rest. 5 seconds. 5 seconds. No, I think that stoppage was premature. I don't agree with the stoppage. I'm just going to say it there. Matty Harris, he is going to need a hell of a lot of work. I mean, this guy is going to need a insane amount of work, because that's a really, really bad loss. It's a really bad loss. Konstantin Dybachenko, you know, it really does paint Moses Atelma in a very good light, because he went in there. Bear in mind, like, Moses Atelma, when I asked him how many amateur fights he had, 24. But you should have seen my face when he said that. I was like, oh. I remember even in the interview, I was just kind of like, oh, not expecting that. You know, when you ask someone a question, you just do not expect that answer. That's what I was like. That's literally what I was like. I was just kind of like, oh, okay. 24, I wasn't expecting that. So for him to come in and just fight someone who's experienced and durable like Dybachenko, to not put a foot wrong, and when you see someone like Matty Harris go in there who's older, and he's been pro for a little bit longer, but not much, but just crumble by the wayside. It puts it in context, you know. That's what I'm saying. Moses Atelma, very, very talented fighter. Very, very talented fighter is young Moses Atelma. So definitely we keep it in. He's actually back out now in a couple of weeks, I think it is. Pretty sure it's a couple of weeks actually. He's back out. What is the news for the week? The week in boxing. So Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. That fight recently got announced. They're running it back at the O2 Arena. Not the O2 Arena. It was Manchester Arena. There was talk it was going to be the O2 Arena, but it's back in Manchester, the site of 2 of Chris Eubank Jr.'s losses, the George Groves and Liam Smith. So not a happy hunting ground for Chris Eubank Jr. Will he make it lucky this time? Yalalov, I spoke about this already. He signed a deal with Top Rank. He'll be out on the Jared Anderson, Andrei Rudenko undercard. That's shaping up to be a very, very good little heavyweight card. So we're really looking forward to that. David Benavidez versus Jaime Munguia is in talks, lads. Now, we were hearing Munguia versus Berlanga, but we're hearing now Benavidez versus Munguia is in talks, potentially take place next. De La Hoya said he's been speaking to Benavidez's representative. So, I mean, Munguia had one of the most unremarkable runs at middleweight you'd ever seen. Now he's a super middleweight. He's not reignited his career at all from when he was at 154 pounds and he was winning titles, and he looked dangerous at 154. He's now at 168, struggling with I can't remember his name. Oh no, what's his name? It's gone. The Ukrainian. I can't remember his name. No, it's gone. But struggling with him, and he's not a bad fighter to be fair, but going in there against Benavidez, oh boy, that could get real ugly real quick for Jaime Munguia. That could get real ugly real quick for Jaime Munguia. But what else do they have? There's not much else they can really do, to be honest with you, other than maybe look for a fight like that, because De La Hoya has done literally nothing for him. He's literally done nothing, you know, so what's he going to do? Let's have a look-see. Benavidez versus Munguia. I mean, that would be a big, big fight in Mexico. 100% be a big one. They'd probably try and do it in Mexico even, or as close to it as they can. Maybe El Paso or somewhere like that in Texas. So let's see if there's any more word on that. In terms of the WBC and their rankings, I seen this and I meant to do a video on it, but I've actually just been quite busy the last few days. Conor Benn has now been removed once again from the WBC rankings. President Mauricio Sullivan is stating that this is due to inactivity right? And Benn's UCAD case remains ongoing. He has confirmed that. So Sullivan saying that the case with Benn and UCAD is ongoing, but he's removed him from the rankings due to inactivity. Now, a few people, again, this is a rumour, right? And the reason why I take this rumour with a pinch of salt is because about a fortnight ago, I had people message me and they were saying, the rumour on the grapevine, or the word on the grapevine is that Conor Benn is going to be cleared by UCAD. But we've heard nothing about him being cleared. And ironically, when they actually messaged me and said that, we started hearing about, he's outside UCAD jurisdiction and stuff like that. So then it was kind of like, okay, is he going to be cleared? Isn't he? Now I'm hearing people message, well, I'm having people message me and they're saying now that actually the reason why the BBC are removing him isn't necessarily because of inactivity, because they don't really give a damn about inactivity. I mean, look at Charlo, is because he is going to get a suspension. At the end of the day, until I see it announced, until I see and hear from UCAD, all it is just rumours. It's unsubstantiated rumours. I don't know. 1 week it's this, 1 week it's that. Where these people hear these things, I do not know. Maybe they're just sending them hoping you make a video on it. I just do not know. But that's the rumour I was hearing. I had to laugh when Sullivan said that it's because of inactivity, because it's just like, okay, Charlo is WBC champion and he's not fought in 2 years, but yet that's A-OK. Right. That's just the typical WBC. And they've ranked fighters in their rankings. I mean, look at Bermain Stavern, for God's sake. He was number 1 ranked, or sorry, number 2 ranked, then he was number 1 ranked. He fought 1 fight in 3 years, and he stayed in the rankings. Not high in the rankings at that. It's not like he was number 8 or 9. They had him in the 1 and 2. So they don't give a damn about inactivity. That's one reason why I'm kind of like, could it be true? Because with the WBC, they really don't give a damn with regards to rankings. They will keep you in their rankings for as long as they have to, even if you're not fighting. They've done that before with fighters. So when I see it happen to Conor Benn, and bear in mind, they cleared Conor Benn. Now that made no difference in the grand scheme of things. As I said, they were focused on the WBC case when in actual fact it means literally nothing. If Conor Benn was cleared by UCAD but banned by the WBC, it would have no bearing on his career whatsoever. If UCAD came before the WBC cleared him and said you're clear, but then the WBC banned him, it would have no bearing on his career whatsoever. The only bearing it would have would be if he wanted a crack at a WBC title. He couldn't have it for the time he was banned, but he could fight for everything else. So it literally means nothing. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. I don't know what's happening here with the Conor Benn situation. We were meant to hear a ruling about a fortnight ago, and there was a lot of talk that we would hear that ruling, but we've not heard anything yet. So I don't know. It's a strange one. It really is a strange one. Wouldn't shock me if we hear something this week. Would I be surprised if he's cleared? No, but at the same time I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a ban either. What do I think is more likely? To be honest with you, I wouldn't be at all shocked if he gets a backdated ban to maybe August last year. But then at the same time, you're kind of thinking, well, Eubank has been kind of hinting at Conor Benn, and it seemed likely we were going to get that fight. And, Frank Smith was talking about it, and then he's got the Liam Smith fight, and now he's getting binned from the WBC rankings, which they really don't care if they like you, they'll keep you in the rankings, and they seem to like Benn. So with all that taken into consideration, you kind of think like, okay, what actually might happen here? And look, if UCAD do ban him, well, it depends how far they backdate it too. I mean, if they really want to throw the book at him, if they do ban him and they throw the book at him, and let's say they say, right, well, you dragged our name through the mud, so the way we backdated or investigate or whatever it was until March this year, that's when the ban's backdated to. And if he gets a 2-year ban, that's 3 years out of the ring, because he hasn't fought since April last year. I don't know. Let's wait and see. The WBC deadline the WBC deadline day for Devin Haney to decide what he was going to do was Friday. The WBC have ruled now that he must decide if he will defend his title, his undisputed title next against Shakur Stevenson, or if he will move up and face Regis Prograis. It's going to be really interesting, but they actually gave him a extension until Thursday. Okay, Thursday this week coming, so he doesn't have to make any decision as of yet. So interesting. I'm hearing a lot of rumours that he's going to actually just move up and fight Regis Prograis. I think even Bill Haney kind of even indicated at that he's going to move up and fight Regis Prograis. Probably is best for him to do that, to be honest with you, because I think Shakur would probably win. And just in terms of him making the weight, because he's been looking pretty damn bad. He has been looking pretty damn bad. In terms of fights this week, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We have a phenomenal week of boxing. So this is going to be a busy week because obviously we're going to be doing a post-fight review. I am so sad that, and I genuinely can't do it because I won't be home. But I would love to do it, but we can't do a watch-along for Stephen Fulton versus Naoya Inoue, which is obviously happening on Tuesday. I'm hearing that the ring walk is going to be around about 1 o'clock UK time. So I can take my lunch whenever I want. So I'm going to definitely try and take it around about that time too. Mean that I can watch the fight because I'm looking forward to that fight. It is a bit annoying that it's on a Tuesday and it's on a work day. And it's on a time where we're all in work. So it's a bit annoying in that sense. You know, I really want to watch this fight. I can't wait. I think it's going to be a great fight. I'm really looking forward to that. And obviously, if I wasn't in work and I was at home, I'd be 100% doing a watch along. With regards to Spence Crawford, we're 100% going to be doing. That's a given, right, lads? I have waited too damn long for this fight. We're watching along. We're doing an all-nighter for that one. We're not even going to go to bed. We're staying up until the wee hours. We're going to be tired, but we're going to watch along. We are going to have a couple of bottles of Lucozade, and we're going to watch that fight in its entirety. I cannot emphasize how happy I am about Spence Crawford this week. You can even hear, like, as soon as I start talking, like, yes, we're here. Spence Crawford. I'm going to be doing a lot of work on the prediction side of it this week. So expect 2 videos. Well, this is going to go out tomorrow morning, Monday morning. Expect a video probably tomorrow evening and Tuesday morning with regards to Spence Crawford. Not necessarily a prediction video. It's not predictions per se, but it's keys. I think both guys will have the victory. And then obviously maybe Wednesday we'll drop the prediction video. Tuesday, Wednesday, it depends. Maybe Tuesday evening or Wednesday morning we'll drop out the prediction video. I am so looking forward to this fight, lads. Terence Crawford, Isaac Cruz on the undercard underneath of the Nair. My G, breaking his own record if he wins the bantamweight title on Saturday. Who else is on the undercard? Is that the Sergio Garcia? It is indeed. Sergio Garcia, who, very good fighter. He's in there against Yunez Tellez. I'm assuming he's Cuban. Yeah, he is. As soon as I saw that name, Yunez, I was like, he's definitely Cuban. He is. That's going to be tough. You know, these Cubans are good. He's 5-0. How many knockouts? 5-0, 4 KOs. Let's have a look at his amateur career. Who was he? What? BoxRec, give me his amateur career. 26 or 23-6. That's not his extended amateur career, obviously. Last amateur fight was in 2019. Lost in the finals of the national champion. Lost in the quarterfinals of the national championships in Cuba. Any names on there I recognise from the amateurs? Not really. And I do know a few amateurs, but I can't say I recognise any of them. But the undercard is looking very good. Lads, as I said, I can't wait to stay up for this fight. I'm looking forward to it. So expect a lot of videos on it this week. We'll be talking about Spence Crawford a lot this week and whatever other news drops. Obviously, we're actually not too far off. We're literally just over 100 away from 12k. We're just over 100. We're like 120, say 5 or 6 probably by the time this video goes up. So we're there. And I've done 120 in a week loads of times. So let's hopefully see if we can do it this week. Fingers crossed. Hopefully we can. And get to 12k this week. It'd be a nice little treat. And then onwards to 13, 14, 15. 15 by the end of the year. You know, 5k a year. If we can do that, and obviously more as we grow, then I'll be doing well for myself. I'll be a happy G. But for now, lads and lads, I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. Smash the like button if you can. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. I hope you all have a great week, whatever time you're listening to it. Wherever you're listening to it, I hope you all have a great week. Something good happens for everyone, myself included, as I always say when we do a review of the week. We'll definitely do a stream, probably again on Tuesday. I actually really enjoyed the last live we did last week, and we done one the week before. So we'll try and keep it going. Maybe later this week we'll do a stream. Maybe Tuesday, maybe later. I don't know, but we'll definitely do a stream again this week, lads, 100%. And yeah, for now, I will leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed the video. Wherever you are in the world, hit the like button. Smash that like button. Jab it. Give give it a right hook, hit it a left hook, do whatever you need to do, as long as you hit that like button and give us an old subscribe as well, because why not? Help your boy out. For now, lads and lasses, I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.